yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and once again, it's great to have you guys here on this Thursday. We have a lot to talk about on today's show, as we normally do, but before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, become part of the show, get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link, that is streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network /tip. Again, it's a great way to make the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, the link is streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network /tip. All right, so with that, let's get into what we will discuss today. So we'll go through the current standings to start off the show, where everything is at this current moment in time. Going into Week 10, obviously we have a game tonight between the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. And, we will preview that at the end of the show. But in between that, we will talk about the latest Bill Belichick rumors and why if the Patriots lose, he could possibly be let go, which I don't see happening. But we will talk about that. And then the third part of the show, we'll talk about the QB situation for both New York teams, both the Jets and the Giants, because they are not coming off of good games, for two different reasons. So we'll get into that, and then, like I said, we'll preview tonight's game to end off the show. So with that, let's get right into the first topic, which is discussing the current standings and where everything is at this current moment in time. So we'll start with the AFC. So right now in the AFC, you currently have the Dolphins, who are 6-3, leading the Bills by a game. Bills are 5-4. They've now dropped. They've dropped 3 of their last 5 games after starting off the season 3-1. They're now 5-4. They could have easily lost to the Giants, if it wasn't for the missed call at the end of the game. The Bucks, the Bucks had their chances. They didn't blow out the Bucks by any means. But it's not looking good right now for the Bills. You got the Patriots are 2-7, and then you got the Jets, who are 4-4 on the season. Listen, it's going to come down to probably the Dolphins and the Bills for the division. Might come down to the last game of the regular season. Who knows? Buffalo really hasn't been playing well as of late. But also you look at the Dolphins and, like we talked about a couple days ago, about them, being frauds possibly, because they haven't beaten any good teams on their schedule. So I don't know. Listen, people are calling them frauds. I don't want to say they're frauds, but that definitely categorizes them as maybe being frauds. But I still think they're a very good team. Then you go to the AFC North, and that division is it's insane. Every team is over 500. Ravens are 7-2. Everybody else is 5-3. And the Ravens, they actually have the best point differential in the NFL. I actually forgot to mention that. Let's see if I still have the stat from that. Yeah, so they have a plus 115 point differential, which is the best in the NFL. No other team in the NFL has a different differential better than plus 80. That's something that CBS Sports posted. This team has been dominating playoff teams in the NFC. Really, they blew out the Lions a couple weeks ago. And then they just blew out Seattle. And those are two teams that are going to make the playoffs. But for some reason, they can only beat the Cardinals by 7. But again, that's just me being salty from not winning my week in my spread pool still. But now they got a game against the Browns, who have a good defense. Ravens are at home for this game, so we'll see what happens. We'll go over it tomorrow. But look, the Ravens look like one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, you can't say they don't. And this is with Lamar Jackson, like, not even passing for 200 yards. The running game, Gus Edwards continues to, get into the end zone. And also you had Keaton Mitchell, who had a big game as well. So, the Ravens, they continue to roll. They could beat anybody. So they're at 7-2. Bengals, Browns, and Steelers, all 5-3. I think that's going to change. I think the Bengals ultimately are going to have a better record than the Browns and the Steelers. And you know what? We're actually, next Thursday is going to be Bengals at Ravens, Thursday Night Football. That is going to be a great game, and we'll see how that goes, because the Bengals look like the hottest team in the NFL right now, to go along with the Ravens. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that game plays out when these two teams meet. Then you go to the AFC South. The Jags are 6-2. They'll be playing the 49ers this week at home. So we'll see what happens if the 49ers get right. I think Deebo Samuel is coming back this week, so that's big for them. And obviously, they made the move at the deadline, getting Chase Young from the Commanders. So, we'll see what the 49ers do. Can they get back on the right track against the Jags? But Jags are 6-2. To me, they should win the division. You got the Texans at 4-4, Colts 4-5, Titans 3-5. Yeah, this is the Jags division to lose. But you know what? The Texans, we talked about it yesterday, they can make the playoffs, possibly. And then in the AFC West, you got the Chiefs are 2.5 games up on the Chargers, who are 4-4. The Raiders are 4-5. Broncos are 3-5. We don't really have to go over that. We know. Chiefs should win that division. Chiefs are going to win that division. All right, then we go to the NFC side of things. So we'll do the NFC divisions, and then we'll go to the wild card. So the Eagles, 8-1, best record in the NFL right now. They're on a bye, but coming out of the bye, we talked about this. At Arrowhead against the Chiefs, against Buffalo at home, versus the 49ers at home. Yeah, those are going to be 3 tough games. So we'll see how they deal with that. I see a loss in there, at least one, but might be like the game on the road against Kansas City, but we'll see. And then you got Dallas at 5-3, Washington 4-5, Giants 2-7. You want to talk about who has like the worst point differential in the NFL? I'm not going to do the math off the top of my head, but nope, the Panthers I think might have the worst one. But I think the Giants probably will finish off the year with the worst point differential in the NFL. But yeah, Eagles, especially after that win against Dallas, they should win this division. I think it's unless they collapse, which I don't see happening, or injuries. The Eagles, they should walk away with this division. Dallas is going to get a wild card spot. Commanders are 4-5. They're still hanging around, so we'll see. Then you go to the NFC North. Vikings are a game and a half back of the Lions. Can they catch up to the Lions? Probably not. Lions are 6-2 right now. They're going to win that division. Vikings, right now they got a wild card spot, and I think they get it. And Justin Jefferson is designated to return. He's taken off IR, so we'll see if he plays this week. So that's big. We'll see what happens. Packers 3-5, Bears 2-7. They play tonight, obviously. And then you got the NFC South, our favorite division. Who is going to win that division? I have no idea. Right now you got the Saints. Falcons are 4-5, Saints 5-4, Bucks 3-5. Right now the Saints are in the, I don't want to say in the driver. Well, yeah, they're in the driver's seat, but they might not be in it for long. Who knows? I really have no idea. But we'll see. And then you got the NFC West. So the Niners are now back in first place because of Seattle's loss to the Ravens. So we'll see what happens after this week. Seattle plays the Commanders. 49ers play the Jags, which I just talked about. All right, so then we go to the wild card. So right now, in terms of seeding, Ravens and the Chiefs have the top 2 spots. In the NFC, you got the Eagles and the Lions. They got the top 2 spots in their respective conferences. Wild cards, the AFC North controls every spot in the wild card. You got the Bills, who are a half game back. Texans are a game back. Chargers a game back. Jets a game back. Colts a game and a half. Raiders a game and a half. Titans 2. Broncos 2. Patriots 3.5. So I'm not going to completely. I'm kind of just leaving the Patriots out because but as of right now, Broncos and Titans are 2 games back. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it, but they're both 3-5. The Broncos at one point looked like they were going to have the worst record in football, or one of the worst records. But now they're 3-5, and now they're playing Buffalo, who hasn't been playing that good. So I mean, who knows? It's gonna be really tough with these wild cards because I just don't see the Bills missing the playoffs. And I feel like they make it over either the Browns or the Steelers. You still got the Chargers there, Texans. I mean, it's tough. Because there are teams you look at, like the Jets, like they can make it because of their defense. But I don't know. It's really tough. It's very, very competitive. Very competitive. So we'll go to the NFC now. So you got, well, I already talked about it. Eagles, Lions, 49ers, Saints. So they got the top 4 spots. Then in the wild cards, you got the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the Vikings. And a game and a half back, you got the Commanders, the Falcons. Buccaneers are 2 games back. Packers are 2 games back. That's really what it looks like at the moment. Seattle and Dallas, I think, get in. But that last wild card spot, we'll see. I mean, Josh Dobbs played well in relief the other day against the Falcons. So, I don't know. I think, I think right now the Vikings get that spot. So, I think really when you look at like the Falcons and the Bucks, their best chance to make the playoffs is winning the division. So, and even though the Bucks have the tiebreaker over the Vikings because they beat them the first game of the year, but now they've lost 4 in a row. You got the Packers. They're 3-5, but I really don't think they're going to make it as much as I thought they could have been a wild card team earlier in the season because Jordan Love was playing well. Now I don't know what happened. He's regressed, so I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's the current standings right now. So with that, we are going to take now our first break of the show. And then when we come back, we will discuss the Patriots. We'll discuss the recent Bill Belichick rumors. And is it possible he could get fired after Sunday's game against the Colts? We'll see. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to discuss the latest Bill Belichick rumors and whether it's possible he could be fired at the end of the game on Sunday. First off, I'm going to come out by saying no. I think regardless of the outcome, I just don't see that happening. But there were articles that came out. There was one on Nesson that I was looking at before coming on. And it's saying Patriots reportedly could replace Bill Belichick after Germany game against the Colts. Now, I think I said like the game was going to be in London, so I apologize for that. I honestly thought that I didn't realize it. I don't know. I said it on something at the game. I feel like I did that the game was in London, but no, this game is also in Germany. So yeah, you go from Dolphins Chiefs to Colts Patriots. So now if Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were playing in this game, sign me up for it. But you got Gardner Minshew and Mac Jones, and the Patriots are 2-7. So it says how the scenario in the article by Nesson. The scenario feels highly unlikely, but the hypothetical might not be completely off the table. The Patriots obviously no longer are competing for a playoff spot, as it talks about, which, yeah. And according to the Boston Globe's Ben Volen, a loss overseas might be the final straw for Robert Kraft and company. Based on my conversations, I don't think it's 100% that Belichick finishes out this season, Volen wrote in a column published Friday. These next two games before the bye are huge, particularly the Germany game, which is practically the team's Super Bowl for the Krafts. If Belichick loses at home to the Commanders, which he already did, and then to the Colts, and comes home from Germany with a 2-8 record, I think there's a chance the Krafts can make the move in the bye week and install Gerard Mayo as the interim head coach for the final 7 games. Okay, so I actually don't know when did this article come out? Does it say? Because I mean they already did lose to the Commanders. Yeah, so it came out 2 days ago. I'm gonna be honest. I really just don't see it happening. I would be surprised if that ends up happening. Now this is big because like now we got games playing in Germany and you want to like, the NFL's trying to advertise their game overseas and I mean fans like it. The players I don't think are too crazy about it. But for me personally, I really just don't see that happening. I would be surprised if that happens. Because, I mean, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I have no clue. Not a lot of people do, obviously. But for me, for Bill Belichick, I think you owe it to him to finish out the year and then say, all right, we appreciate everything you've done, but I think it's time we go in a different direction. Now, there's some rumors that he could get traded to Washington. There's another rumor with that, too, which actually we'll see if we can find that right now. But I find it hard to believe the success that you've had with this guy, with this head coach, and just like that, you're gonna fire him in the middle of the season? I really don't see it. Okay, so there's an article that came out on November 1st. This was Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. Could Commanders try to hire Bill Belichick after the season? I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything is possible, really. I didn't really go into detail. I didn't really skim through it, but I know that was like a rumor that was floating around too. Washington can get their hands on Belichick, but I think anything that happens with Belichick, it's going to happen at the end of the year. I really don't see them firing him in the middle of the year. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's been bad these last couple of years. I mean, last year you go 8-9. After going 10-7 the previous year, making the playoffs with Mac Jones, and last year you regress. This year it's even worse. Patriots are not a very good team. They're bad, and and listen, a lot of the things that people talk about is Belichick like trading out of the first round and trying to get these players that you really don't have high on your draft board, and look what that's done. And listen, I've talked about it on previous shows too. Like, you go back and you look at the moves that they made in the offseason, bringing in Ezekiel Elliott, Mike Gesicki, Juju Smith-Schuster. To me, you put those guys on a team that has loaded offense, but you're looking to get more depth, that would make more sense. Like, if you put those guys on the Chiefs, I think those are decent signings because they're depth pieces. But I mean, like, you're making them like the top options in this offense. That it's not going to work. Mike Gesicki, I think, has 1 touchdown. I keep seeing posts about Juju Smith-Schuster on social media. He doesn't look happy in New England. It's bad. I mean, and Mac Jones rookie year. I mean, you get him Devontae Parker. Well, actually, no. I think the following year they got Devontae Parker. Regardless, you get Devontae Parker. You get Kendrick Bourne, who, well, I mean, unfortunately for him, he tore his ACL and has been a productive player for the Patriots, but he's not a number 1 option. It's just, I don't know. For me, it looks like Belichick tries to be like the smartest guy in the room sometimes because, like, you let go of key guys. You trade away Chandler Jones, who was one of your best pass rushers at one point. Trying to think what else for an offensive lineman. Like, you let go of, well, even though he didn't play well with the Chargers, you let go of J.C. Jackson and then you get him back. I mean, there's a lot of moves that I can't think off the top of my head. Like, you also trade Brandon. I mean, you get rid of Brandon Cooks, right? The 1 year you have him, and he was good with Tom Brady. You think you would have kept him around, but they get rid of him. Like, that's just a few that I could think of. But, they've let some of their better players go, and then, I mean, they don't really replace them. I mean, listen, I don't know how the Patriots won in 2018 because, well, they won because of Tom Brady. That was the difference. Because you look at, like, let's be honest with ourselves. You had an older Gronk. Then again, you won in 2020 with him. But with that offense compared to the 2018 offense, I mean, there's no comparison. Julian Edelman obviously wasn't the same player, but, like, he was starting to break down, of course. But, yeah, he won Super Bowl MVP. Caught all those clutch throws, clutch third downs in the championship game. Chris Hogan was your other receiver. I mean, listen, you didn't have, like, but you know what? You didn't need it. But at the same time, it's like they didn't have, like, what they had with Randy Moss in 2007. They didn't have that, like, in 2018. Like, they just started to, like, they really just did not reload. And it was weird. Because, like, don't you want to surround your offense with talent? Like, or you're just going to let Brady just work with what he's got? And listen, it worked out okay. But if that makes sense, if anything I said makes sense, hopefully it does. But you guys know what I mean. Like, Gronk obviously was still good. Edelman was still good. But they, like, they were starting to decline a little bit. Like, they weren't like what they were in, 2014, 2016. I mean, but that's because they got injured. They're taking a bunch of hits. They're getting abused out there. I mean, it's not because, like, they were bad. It's just, injuries caught up to them. And, 2018 was like one of those years you were just like, I don't think the Patriots are going to win. Because you looked at the Chargers that year. They were loaded on offense and on defense. They had one of the best rosters in the NFL. You had the Chiefs with Mahomes' first year as a starter. Like, nobody really gave the Patriots a chance, which was bad because then they went and won the Super Bowl. And they won 13-3 in the Super Bowl against the Rams. So, but, I mean, Belichick, the league, I think, is caught up to him. And I think what's really looked bad for him is the fact that Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Belichick hasn't won a playoff game since Brady left. You finished 7-9 with Cam Newton, missed the playoffs. You make the playoffs the following year with Mac Jones, but you get obliterated by the Bills. Then you missed the playoffs last year, and this year you're going to have your worst record in a long time. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. And part of me thinks he tried to, I think people did say that he tried to sabotage Tom Brady and not surround him with more talent. Because even look at 2019. Then you had no Gronk for a year. You had Benjamin Watson. You still had Edelman. Rookie Jacoby Myers. There's no more Amendola. No more Chris Hogan. No Gronk. The move you make is go and get Mohamed Sanu. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, that team doesn't make the playoffs. So it's the stuff with the assistants, Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, you bring those guys in, a special teams guy and a former defensive coordinator who became a head coach, and you make them, co-offensive coordinators. It's just not going to work. And it didn't work. But, there's a lot of... Listen, it's just... Yeah, he's had a great career, leading the Patriots, being a part of those teams, being the head coach all those years. But, at this point, it's there might need to be a change, a different voice. Now, for me, I don't think he should be fired during the season. I think you should do that at the end of the year. But again, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. But I just think it's interesting that if the Patriots are 2-8 after this week, there's a possibility he could be fired. But I'm just amazed at how quickly the fan base, everybody is just turned on him. That quickly. But it's been bad. And but listen, for Patriots fans, you're not going to get sympathy from anybody because you won all those championships. And number 12 is not walking through that door. He's not. At least I don't think he is. Could you imagine? He's I'm coming back for one more year. Now that would be something, but it's not. It's not going to happen. I will say, though, you put Brady on this team, the Patriots are definitely not 2-7. They're not. Now, they might have a losing record. They might be I don't know, 3-5. Well, they play 9 games. I don't think they've had their bye yet. But they'd be maybe 4-5. I think they'd be better with. Most people would say they'd be better with Brady right now. But it's. You don't know. But, yeah, so we'll just have to see what happens if this actually does happen. So if the Patriots lose, we'll see. Do they let go of Belichick? For me, I say no, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below about that. Now, before we go to break, our second break of the show, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, great way to make the show more interactive between me, the host, and you, the viewer. Once again, the link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. All right. Now, with that, we are going to take our second break of the show. And then when we come back, we are going to discuss the quarterback situation in New York because there's some things we need to discuss here. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we will discuss the New York quarterback situations with both the Jets and the Giants. Obviously, I already touched upon the Giants quarterback situation. For me, unfortunately, Daniel Jones, in my opinion, played his last snap as a Giant on Sunday when he suffered the injury. And the Giants are going to be picking in the top 5 once again. It just seems like they can't seem to get out of their own way. Listen, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, yeah, Joe Judge had his introductory press conference. And Giant fans bought in. And, they were somewhat competitive in 2020. Then the following year, they regressed. Last year, Brian Daboll goes for that 2-point conversion. And on the first game of the season, they get it. They win the game. And everyone's like, oh, we love Daboll. They make the playoffs. We love Daboll, right? This year, not so much. And it's just been a disaster. Once again, another disaster of a season for the Giants. And now they're going to be in the market. They're going to be looking for a new quarterback. And they're going to be drafting one, you would think. I hope they get the next elite quarterback from this draft. Because the Giants, the Daniel Jones pick really set them back. In some ways, because for me and for a lot of people, he's okay. He was okay. Now, we just never. Now, he wasn't coached right. This was not the right system to be put in for him. The right team, because you went from Pat Shurmur to Joe Judge, now to Daboll. You had all these different systems you had to learn, and the offensive line has been terrible. They still can't get it right. They still can't get it right. No matter they can't do it. And it amazes me how it's taken this long, and they still haven't fixed it yet. Still haven't fixed it. And going into this season, people expected the Giants to be more competitive with their team being better. And I thought they would be competitive, but I didn't think they would make the playoffs. I really wasn't on board with that, just because the schedule was tougher, and I didn't really see that happening. But I thought, you know what, maybe they'll be more. They're going to be better, but they're probably going to have a worse record than they did last year. And after the first game of the season, I was like, this season's over. They're not going to be good. And I was right. Now, I didn't expect, I shouldn't say I didn't expect, but I was hoping Daniel Jones wouldn't get hurt, so you can get a fair assessment of what, he is what he can be. And we never really got that, because then he had the neck injury, and he tears his ACL on Sunday. He played his last game as a Giant, in my opinion. Now, does that mean he can't go elsewhere and get another shot? I think he can, but it's not going to be here. And it looks like, we got Tommy DeVito. It looks like he's going to be starting on Sunday against the Cowboys in Dallas. And if you look at what Dallas does to teams at home and what they did to the Giants earlier in the year. Now, again, I was fortunate because I was at a wedding. I didn't watch a single second of that game until I watched the highlights. They'll be lucky if they score 10 points. Now, they got shut out against Dallas the last time. It can happen. It definitely can happen again. And that was with Daniel Jones. That was with Saquon Barkley. That was with Darren Waller. Two of those three guys are not playing in this game. Darren Waller, I'm pretty sure, was placed on IR, which, it was expected. At some point, he was going to get hurt. They got no wide receivers. They can't. Well, I mean, they can't get the ball to Jalen Hyatt, who they drafted. It's a mess. It's a mess with the Giants, and you got Tommy DeVito starting. I really don't think they're going to win another game. I really don't. So at this point, for me, I'm hoping they get a top pick in the draft. They take the best quarterback available. But the problem is, you got to fix this offensive line. So it's frustrating. And then go on the other side. You look at the Jets. I said that they could be a team that can make the playoffs because of their defense. You run the ball effectively with Breece Hall. Zach Wilson plays mistake-free football. But what happened on Sunday? I mean, Zach Wilson held on to the ball way too long. He was taking sacks. He fumbled it at midfield. You got to bench him. I really think you got to bench him. And the funny thing is when you had Robert Saleh go on the Michael Kay show, and they asked him, why don't you give one of these other QBs a chance? Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian. And he says, I plead the fifth. You are the head coach of this football team. Make the decision. You make the decision. Now, there's people saying, are there other people behind the scenes that are influencing this? I forgot to say that. That's possible. Because, listen, there's one scenario I could think of. They don't want to sit Zach because you know who likes Zach Wilson? Aaron Rodgers. And if you bench Zach Wilson, is that going to upset Aaron Rodgers? That's one thing I could think of. And that's the last thing the Jets want to do is upset Aaron Rodgers because they brought him here to win football games for him and for them. And right now he can't do that because he's hurt. And he's gonna come back next year. But Zach Wilson is a guy that has no confidence. He has no confidence at all. And that's bad. Because he's holding on to the ball too long because he doesn't want to throw a pick. And I went back and I watched the highlights from the Tennessee Titans game a couple of years ago when he threw. And some of the throws that he made in that game were amazing. The one to Corey Davis for the touchdown, and then I think it was Keelan Cole, the one that he threw down the sideline to him. Where is that Zach Wilson? Now again, that Zach Wilson was a rookie, and Jets didn't do that good that year, but still where is Zach Wilson? That Zach Wilson that takes shots down the field. He doesn't do that. Now, you could look at the offensive line and say he doesn't have enough time. And again, there was that play where he could have took off with the ball and got a first down, but he shoveled past it to Michael Carter, who gets tackled immediately. At this point, you're 4-4. You got a defense that has been great this year. You're wasting it. Now, listen, I've seen Tim Boyle, I think the last time he started a game was when he was with the Lions a couple years ago. I think that was the last game. At least that was one game I remember he started. And the Lions lost the game I think it was 13-7 or something against the Browns. It was a really low scoring game. Tim Boyle's not the answer. Trevor Siemian, we've seen Trevor Siemian. He was the starter with Denver. He was with the Saints, I know that. He's bounced around a little bit since the Broncos. Because he was Peyton Manning's replacement back in 2016. And the Broncos, his first year as the Broncos starter, they weren't that bad. He got hurt, though, of course. They ended up missing the playoffs. I think they went 9-7. But, it wasn't that bad with the Broncos, but he's not the answer either. But that was so many years ago. Now, you bring him in. Sorry, holding back another sneeze. There's always at least there's always at least one time during the show where that's gonna happen. You bring him in. He's on the practice squad. What they should have did? Why didn't they go out and trade for somebody. They could have traded for Josh Dobbs. Why didn't they do that? Josh Dobbs, it was for a late round pick. You could have did that. You could have, you could have signed Carson Wentz. You could have did something. Maybe trade for, Marcus Mariota's a backup in Philly. Maybe you could have traded for him or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there. But Carson Wentz was a guy that was sitting there. Why didn't they go and sign him? The Rams go and sign him. I feel like I've been talking about Carson Wentz a lot, but I said he's the best quarterback available that's a free agent. Why can't you go do that? But again, this all could go back to, well, they don't want to upset Aaron Rodgers. So they kind of got their hands tied right now. I don't know. I have no idea. But for me, you got to bench Zach this weekend. Because now you're playing the Raiders, who are riding high after their win over the Giants, and now they're going up against a team that is also inept on offense. Look, all they got to do is score 17 points. Are the Jets going to be able to do that? Can they do that? The only way they could do that is if they force turnovers. I mean, they're talking about how, a couple times the Chargers put the ball on the ground, and the Jets, rather than just diving on it and getting the ball back, they were trying to scoop it up and run it because they're like, we gotta score points ourselves because our offense can't do anything. I mean, I knew when the Chargers ran back that punt return, I was like, the Jets are not winning this game. This game's over. 14-0 or 10-0, 17-0, whatever. At that point, you're like, yeah, this game's over. They got no chance because they can't come back from this. And any time that they had something going, a penalty. They get their first roughing the passer call in 2 years. And guess what happens on the very next play? Garrett Wilson fumbles the ball. And I think that's what led to the second touchdown. Because I think they were able to stop the Chargers on the Zach Wilson fumble. But it's comical. They got to bench Zach this weekend. They have to. But are they going to do that? No. And right now, the head coach on the Jets, and even the head coach with the Giants too, I mean, not looking good for both of them. Now, I think they both are going to come back for another year. But to me, Brian Dable's back to square one with me. And Robert Saleh, I just don't think is a good head coach. I don't. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, because you got the defense playing great, but I think as a head coach, I don't see it. And I like Robert Saleh too. I do like Robert Saleh. I just don't think he's a good head coach. I don't think he's a good head coach, and I don't think right now Brian Dable looks like a good head coach either. Even though I was like, oh, Dable's great. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Brian Dable, but yeah, quarterback situation not looking good. Giants don't have a quarterback. Jets, I mean, they don't have one either. And, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, who knows? I would love to see him come back, but he's not walking through that door anytime soon. I think the next time you see Aaron Rodgers is on the field next year. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't. But we'll see. So with that, we are going to take our final break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to preview tonight's game, exciting game between the Panthers and the Bears. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to now discuss, we're going to preview tonight's game between the Carolina Panthers, who are 1-7 on the season, going up against the Chicago Bears, who are 2-7 on the season. Yeah, not a great Thursday night matchup. Looks like Tyson Bagent will get the start once again. Also, weird thing, if anybody saw it, well, people definitely saw it, of course. Matt Eberflus in his press conference, he said, Fields is doubtful. He said he's not going to play, but he is doubtful. They're like, why is he listed as doubtful if he's not going to play? But he's like, we'll see what happens, how he progresses in the week. But they said, well, is he going to play? And he's like, no, he's not going to play. It just was like a weird, back and forth exchange that really didn't make any sense. So is he gonna play? He says no. So then why is he doubtful? Well, we got to see if he's gonna, how he, responds this week. It's like, but if he's not gonna play, then just rule him out. But I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. But yeah. So we go to the rankings for these offenses. It's not great. The Bears are 26th in passing yards per game. The Panthers are 21st. Running the ball, that could be key. Bears are 4th. Panthers are 24th. The Bears are 19th in points per game. Panthers are 26th. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Then you look at passing yards. The Panthers are good against the pass. Panthers are good against the pass. They're 3rd. Giving up an average of 193.9 passing yards per game, and the Bears are 25th. So maybe this is a game Bryce Young can get it going. Now, again, here's the key. Panthers are 28th against the run. Bears are good against the run, and they're a good running team. So, that's something to keep an eye on. And then points allowed, the Panthers are 31st, and the Bears are 28th. Tyson Bagent's going to get the start. Bryce Young, obviously, for the Panthers, not having a great year. 8 touchdowns to 7 picks. Adam Thielen's having a very good year. 610 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. It looks like Khalil Herbert might be coming back for the Bears tonight. It looks like he might be, but if not, then it's going to be Deontay Foreman again. I don't really know what to expect from this game. If I'm going to be honest, I really don't. I don't really have much to say on this game. I think this game will be close just because both offenses struggle to score points. However, Bryce Young throwing 2 pick-sixes the other day doesn't sit right with me. Right now, the spread, the Bears are favored by 3. Right now, I have the Panthers with the points, but I don't feel confident with it at all. I really don't, because they can't score points. But I feel like, I don't know. I really don't know. I think both teams are going to have turnovers in this game. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. This is not what we were hoping for with this game. You were hoping Bryce Young was having a great year. You're hoping Fields is playing well. And these two teams are going at it, but yeah, I really don't. I don't really see it right now. We're gonna see a low scoring game. You might see a 17-13 game or something, 20 to 17. I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't. But like I said, I have the Panthers, so I need them to cover the spread, 3.5. Yeah, I don't really know. Right now for me, I would take the points. Because I don't know. But then again, the Bears, they blew out the Raiders, who are awful, at home. They were competitive against the Saints. They got blown out by the Chargers. But, they could score a little bit. Panthers, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they went up 14. Believe it or not, like they went up 14-0 against the Dolphins. Like, let's not forget that actually did happen. So I mean, I don't know. This is a game you kind of just like throw a dart at a dartboard and just hope for the best. I really have no idea. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll just have to see how it goes. I don't really know what else to say with this game. Like, this game just like it's not a very enticing game. Now, next Thursday, that's when you get a really good game. You get the Bengals and the Ravens, and get us to that game. Can we switch, or I don't know. It's just not fun. It's not going to be a fun game. I mean, I have Cole Kmet in fantasy, so hopefully he does well. And that's it. I don't have anybody else. No, I don't think I have anybody else from any of these teams. Oh, well, I have the Bears defense tonight in one of my leagues, starting them. So, again, that kind of contradicts the Panthers pick. I know. I don't know. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to pick the Bears. But I don't know. For me, like, I think the Panthers will keep it close. Like, I don't know. Maybe they force Bajan into some turn. Because think about this, though. The Bears did commit 5 turnovers. So, like, and the Panthers' defense, is good against the pass. Bajan threw some picks. Like, that changes the game. So, you know what? Maybe the the Panthers' defense gets turnovers in good field position, and then they cash in. So, that what? That makes me feel confident. But if they let Deontay Foreman and Khalil Herbert run all over them, then it's going to be a long day for them. I don't know. I feel like this should be a close game, but what do I know? I really don't have anything else to say about this game. Yeah, that's really it when it comes to the preview. So we do have some time left in the show here. So obviously tomorrow will be the doubleheader of the shows. We got the football podcast till 12, and then a half hour later we'll have the baseball podcast. I'll have some stuff to talk about with the Yankees, and I got to figure out what else. Because now we're in the off season, so it's like, But we'll actually, we'll talk about the managers that changed teams or got signed. We'll go through all that. So I mean, we'll figure it out. But we're at that point in the season. Well, also they released the top 50 free agents, so we can go over that as well. But yeah, I mean, we're another doubleheader on the way. So make sure to tune in for both shows, of course, with myself. I always appreciate that. And yeah. Yeah, so once again, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. you got the football podcast, and then 12:30 to 1:30 you got the baseball after that. So really looking forward to that. Of course, you have shorts coming out throughout the day. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I mean, week 10 starts off tonight. Great game. So we'll see how it goes. And then obviously tomorrow we'll do our picks and preview all the games for this weekend. And yeah, I mean, season is half over, and it stinks. It really does. But that's what happens. Like, football comes back, you get all excited, and then before you know it, it's over. It stinks when that happens. But it is what it is. Life goes on. We're in the off season now with baseball, so obviously, rumors and things like that are going to come out. But yeah, we're moving right along. And, we'll see how everything plays out with free agency in Major League Baseball, with how the season here in the NFL continues, because, you really never know what's going to happen week to week. You don't. Hey, maybe the Panthers, they put up 30 points against the Bears tonight. You don't know. Maybe this is Bryce Young's coming out party. National TV, Thursday Night Football. Maybe this is, the Bryce Young, Adam Thielen game. 3 touchdowns to Thielen tonight. I don't know. But I still just think how odd it was with Eberflus talking about Fields. Well, listen, Eberflus is not going to be there after this year. That's for sure. I think he's gone. But the other thing is, too, like, what happens with Fields? Like, do they give him another chance, or, like, do they move off of him? Because, like, he really wasn't playing great. He did put together a couple of nice games, but then he got hurt. Played against the Vikings, gets hurt. So, I don't really know. But, and then you got the Tyson Bagent story. He's shown flashes of, maybe at least being a backup. The touchdowns he threw to Kenneth were nice. But 5 turnovers. The Saints got off of them, the Bears. And they only won by 7. That's what makes that still is what angers me, is they only won by 7. Should have been more, but whatever. We'll just have to see. The Panthers, they could force turnovers. They could. I just don't see the Panthers getting blown out tonight. But then again, like, the Bears' last home game with Bagent starting, they blew out the Raiders. Now, I think the Panthers are better than the Raiders. Well, now it's different because they changed head coaches and whatnot, and they look like a better team. But then again, they beat the Giants. So, I don't think the Panthers will get blown out. But, again, I could be biased just because, I don't want them to, because I'm picking them in my spread pool. But I think the Bears win. I'm going to say they win 17-14. The final score of Super Bowl 42. Let's do that. 17-14, the final score. We'll see. All right, so with that is all the time that we have for today. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in to the show tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then the baseball podcast will be after that. So until then, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.